Thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you, Frank, for facilitating this, and Sabrina. And welcome, everyone, to this session. This is a very exciting session for me, and I hope, like earlier, that you will find something to take away with you in the next 20 minutes or so. So just to give you a little bit of background, I am Natalie Cajus. I teach for the School of Education at the Adron campus here. I've been with the college for quite a few years now, but this is, I guess it would be a faculty-led initiative that really is very dear to my heart. And just to give you a little bit of background, I started, well, before I get started, let me tell you, my title, as you can see, is What is Useless to You is Worth a Lot to Me. Empty recycled pill bottles can go a long way. So before I give you a little bit of the background, I wanted to ask you this question. Most of us have some of these pill bottles around the house somewhere. Can you all share with me, either verbally or in the chat if you want, what do you do with these bottles once you're done? Once you're done with your pills, what do you do with these bottles? I would love to hear what you do with them. And okay, refill them, Sabrina. Okay, recycle them, how? How? Tell me more about that. And I'm happy to hear that, by the way.
I'm not sure how I do it.
Okay, do any of you maybe just put it in the recycling bin? Is that what you meant by that? You just put it in the recycling bin to be picked up every 2 weeks or something? Dr. Yuli said he doesn't want to share because it's going to sound bad. Some people said arts and craft. Yes, if we have, I've seen teachers use the College of Education. So, we've used these, we encourage our students sometimes to use it. But for the most part, I can tell you that most of us probably put them in that recycling bin that gets picked up by the county every week or so. So this presentation is basically a very simple step which can go a long way. And I'm going to go back and I told you earlier, this is something that is dear to my heart. As some of you know, I am from Haiti, and I used to travel at least twice a year. Lately, I haven't been able to do that, obviously with the pandemic, but also there are some instabilities going on in the country right now. But having growing up in Haiti, you see a lot of things, including poverty, just like many places around the world, including, our own backyard, South Florida. So one of the things that caught my attention during one of my previous trips there, and it's something that kind of clicked, I'm like, oh yeah, when I was little, I used to see that. So something that we take for granted here, are really like a luxury there. So something as simple as a pill bottle, an empty pill bottle. For some people, if they went to a clinic, even to a hospital, and they had some prescriptions to take home with them, they would be handed that prescription in a little piece of paper wrapped up, or maybe now I've seen the little tiny Ziploc bags. But the reality is these bottles that we take for granted, I can't imagine going to Walgreens, and I imagine you would feel the same way, or CVS, and being handed your pills, your medicine, your medication in a little piece of paper or something of sort. So we take things for granted here. You think of something so simple as a pill bottle that could mean so much to somebody else, and we throw so many of these things away. So as I said earlier, I just started asking my colleagues here and there, oh, by the way, I'm taking a trip, if you have any empty pill bottles, would you mind just bringing them to my office? And then my wonderful colleagues would just bring them in bags for me, and every now and then, and so forth and so on. So as you know, I am part of the impact committee, and one of my colleagues there, Dr. Yule, and he said, well, Natalie, why don't you think about doing this, at a bigger level? Because people do really just dispose of these bottles most of the time. So I started thinking about it, and I went and I even did a little bit of research on it. And come to find out, this is not a problem that is only, limited to. I found out that countries like Haiti, Jamaica, Nicaragua, Honduras, El Salvador, Guatemala, DR, Guyana, they all have similar issues where these pill bottles are a luxury, or maybe they don't necessarily have them as much as we have them and use them here. So with that, I started thinking, well, maybe this is something that I could also take to my classroom. And so I have to say that this initiative of mine is really at it's at the introductory level. I have recently started thinking about it, and I said, how can I, if anything, inspire my students to think about something that is dear to their heart and maybe take it to the next level. So continuing with the same idea, I said, well, let me find out, because I do have family and I have relations. And I said, let me find out, if these would be something that would be useful, for the country, if it's something that they even thought about. And the reality is I was able to reach out to a couple of doctors actually in Haiti, and they said, of course, we do need these, these are a luxury here. And so I was able to find out that there are at least 2 community hospitals. This is one of them, very, humble hospital, where they could definitely take that. In fact, I presented this a couple of weeks ago during the Change Making Week at one of the presentations. And that morning I was communicating with one of the doctors, and I said, can you think of, else, that would be important? And her reply to me was, things like cotton balls, alcohol, things like that. They're not just important, Natalie. We need those things, So it kind of gave me a push even more to continue with this idea. And in parentheses, I have to say that what also got me thinking a little bit more about this, again, close to my heart. My daughter, she was in high school, they were doing some stuff and they decided they wanted to help Haiti. And, all this together kind of brought me to where I am with this now. This is another hospital. This is the second hospital that I would love to help with. And like I said, I decided, how can I make this work for my classroom students? So one of the things that I thought about is one of the courses that we teach, and one may think, well, you're education, why are you thinking about something like this? Well, education encompasses everything. And the course that I started, slowly bringing this initiative into is my diversity course. We have an introduction to diversity course that we offer at the lower division with our program. And the good thing about it is that it speaks of everything and anything that falls under the category of diversity. So I started thinking, okay, so how does this relate to, well, obviously the classroom, but also the sustainable development goals, of UN. And obviously it goes with the poverty initiative #1, goal #1, the poverty initiative, goal #3, good health and well-being, and goal #10, reducing inequalities. When we speak of diversity, we speak of all of these things: poverty, social justice, inequalities. All these things are, have, a part in our course, obviously. And so this is where I wanted to make the connection. So as I said earlier, my goal for this is really to be able to, one, inspire students and help them find what burning desire they have within them to help us. Haiti is around the corner. It's only an hour, and a half, on an airplane trip. So they are our neighbors. They're right around the corner. And yes, we are going through so many things this year, and we are blessed to all be here right now with this, with this pandemic. And at the same time, some of us were thinking, well, I would love to help, but I don't know where to start, or I wouldn't know, what to do. And something, like I said, to me, so simple can go so far. And so the whole idea, like I said, is to not only, you know, my first goal again is to help students realize that they can find something within themselves and be inspired and can start, well, I don't know, it's only me, how can I start? You know, there's so much, so little that I could do. Well, I want to share this initiative with them to listen, this is something that is very little, maybe for some people, but can go so far for a whole group. And so this is why I wanted to start with this. So that's my first goal, to inspire my students and to help them come up with an initiative that they can help with. And then the other, my second goal, you know, as I'm sharing this here on this platform with colleagues and other faculty and some students as well, is to get this going as well, you know, with this particular initiative and helping, you know, students, you know, help us bring this together. Thanks to a couple of our colleagues, you know, cross-discipline, you know, I've been able to, thanks to Professor Matthews, I've been able to contact a local organization, Seeds, that actually ships 80, and I'm in with him and to find out if perhaps we would be able to, once we gather all these bottles, and maybe they could help us with the shipment, because all these things, you know, have a cost associated with them. But that's the whole idea, is to kind of brainstorm and see how we could start with a small idea, you know, something that is not going to require too much effort. It's basically a matter of, okay, before I put this in the recycling bin that's going to be picked up next Friday, next Tuesday, let me just get rid of the labels. Let me, you know, clean it, sanitize it a little bit. Whenever, if, you know, eventually when I go back to campus, you know, I spoke with single stops, both single stop at the Padron campus and at the North campus. They're willing to have a box for us. So anyone and anybody, it's just a matter of, let me take it with me and just drop it in the box. So the idea is to eventually have multiple boxes around, and then just collect these. And once we have a collection, then I will, whether it's with the Seeds organization or however other way we can do this, we can get going and see if we can get them to these 2 hospitals. And this is basically, you know, what this is all about. And, you know, at Miami-Dade, and I joined the impact committee, I have to say, because I guess it's always something that I want, you know, to do, is try to see, and maybe I am biased, I am from Haiti, see how I can help, because they're less than 2 hours away, whatever I can do, no matter how small or bigger it may be. But I was happy to join the impact, and you know, as because I want to be a change maker, and I want to push that idea within my students, so that they can make such a huge difference. Yes, they can be change makers. A few years ago, we had a campaign with the School of Education. I don't know if some of you may remember, and one we had all these posters with some of our graduating students, and then we would have a poster and then something written under it, and one of them was that, you know, I'm a change maker, I'm an educator. An educator, you know, we are, you know, that we are in a higher institution, and that's what we do. And however we can make that change, by making people maybe a little bit more aware, by taking action, whatever it is. And I like this where I took it, it said, if you desire to see, just make it happen. And that's my primary goal here. This is just an example. This is just a small initiative. But the idea, like I said, is to really inspire our students and help them understand, you know, and the change making. And we have so many initiatives and so many ways that we can do it locally, you know, in our neighborhoods, in our home, school, on our campus, in our neighborhood, in our community, down the Caribbean Sea, you know, in the Caribbean as well. So this is what I wanted to bring to you. Like I said from the beginning, I hope that you find some inspiration in this. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. You find some desire maybe to join in. You know, you can reach out to me. And I'm hoping that by next year when I come back, I will come back with, you know, some more concrete ways that I can tell you. So my students got inspired and they were able to do this. And it doesn't have to be with the pill bottles. I just want to, just turn on this fire within them to let them know we are blessed. We are, in so many ways, we are blessed in so many ways. And sometimes we don't even realize how much of a small step we can take, sometimes out of comfort zone, joy and not just joy, just well-being that it can bring to somebody else. So I would love to invite you for any questions, any comments, or anything that I can try to answer for you right now.
Hi, Nathalie. This is Elodie from the School of Engineering and Technology at the Padron campus.
Hi, Elodie.
Hi. I really like what you've done within your class. I think it's a great pilot, and I think, like you mentioned, now it's time to expand and take it to another level, right? So that's why I'm thinking that maybe actually proposing an initiative at the campus level. You may want to talk to the campus president for that. But I think it would be great, and then we can promote that through student club and within our classes, so then you have more of those, I guess, bottles that you can ship to those hospitals. But I do think like a formal partnership with those two hospitals will make it even better, right? So then you can actually give the story to the students, the faculty, and we are more like connected, right?
Awesome. Thank you so much. In fact, we have a couple of student ambassadors, within the committee, and that's one of the things that I'm really trying to push for in order for it to get the word around, with the different student organizations. And also, you are the second person to definitely take it, to higher level, at the campus level. So thank you for reiterating that. Yes, definitely, Zelda. Remove the bottle pill, the stickers, the labels. I find it with warm water and soap, warm water with soap, and try to sanitize it, because there are different medicines and things like that. And I'm sure once they get there, they're also going to try to, I think, at least cleaning them out and definitely removing the labels for so many different reasons. Thank you so much. Thank you. So I'm trying to read some of the comments here. Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I don't think we have a question. We just want to do it.
Okay, well, I'm looking forward to hearing from some of you. Like I said, I'm going to definitely push this forward with my different classes. I'm looking forward to it for the summer and for the fall again, and hopefully I'll be able to come back.
So I have a question, actually. I do have a question. So since some of us are working remotely, that's mean not on campus. I don't know what is the echo. Do you have the student mail the bottles, or they actually come on campus and drop them off?
So right now, like I said, the only thing that I have, the only advice that I would say, and I think would be the fair thing to do now, is just being aware, and even if you're at home, for example, and sharing this information with the students as well, just start accumulating them. It's really awareness and word of mouth. Speak to people, remove the labels, clean the bottles, and leave them there. And I know soon we're going to be going back. I have to, we all, looking forward to the day when we can go back on campus. Some students do go to campus for different reasons, but I would not, ask them to go now, obviously. But like I said, right now we have, we're going to be setting up a box at the single stop, both at the Padron and the North campus. And I imagine, we will be extending that as well to other campuses or even other departments. And then when the time comes that you are physically able to go, then it's just a matter of bringing them with you. Okay. But I would want to ask, especially the students, to have to go to the post office and mail like that. So I think the great thing to do right now is to just gather them, put them together, and then when the time comes, then we'll be able to next step, definitely.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Yes, yeah, I will definitely speak to Dr. Morales about the Kendall campus. Thank you. Exactly, Franklin, when we can. So my hope is I'm not sure if anyone else here. So now I'm going to definitely communicate with Dr. Morales to see how we can initiate that on the Kendall campus through the impact committee. But any other campuses, you know, I live in Homestead, and so I'm looking forward to having a box, you know, down here as well. At least I got my son to do a little, you know, flyer to put on the boxes. So it's easy for me to say, if someone tells me I'm at the Hialeah campus, I can put it for you, you know, by the registrar's office, by the registration office. I can email you the flyer. And then the only thing that I would ask is if you can provide the box for me, you know, an empty printer box, you know, or anything that can be placed there.
Well, can I ask a question? Is the impact committee, I guess, is it a college-wide committee?
It is.
All right, so
it is.
it doesn't have to be a campus initiative. You can just do a college-wide to the impact, and that's the job to promote, to give information.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely, absolutely, definitely. And yes, and Dr. Yuli is just adding that right now, Elodie. So again, another way to get it going. Like right now, it's just getting those boxes. I will email the flyers to whomever or whoever can add a box, you know, by their department, and then just take it from there. Like I said, I've made that contact, you know, through Professor Matthews with the SEEDS organization. Hopefully they can help us with the shipment there, but right now it's just a matter of getting the bottles. And remember, it's not just the empty bottles, it's anything, you know, for like basic things, like I said, like I shared earlier, cotton balls, you know, things we go to the Dollar Tree all the time, you know, just pick up an extra cotton ball, bandage, you know, or things like that, unused medical supplies, exactly, that can be shipped as well.
How about the vitamins bottles? Is it of use or not? Because I don't take medicine,
as long as they are empty. Yes, of course, because they also have that shut tight. Like I said, any of these bottles that can be used, you know, as that for that service will be definitely welcome. I meant, you know, the pill bottles, I know most people have these at their homes, and you know, it would be, you know, hopefully not too hard just to do that. And then the other, and I've had people give me vitamin bottles as well. Amazon sales empty ones we can use. I think it can be around $25, $6.99 for those that don't have. Absolutely, Janelle, thank you for adding that. I took it from the recycling perspective because, again, you know, when we think of sustainability and you know, how we can help with these different initiatives, you know, I automatically, you know, think we don't do anything with these bottles and we can do so much with them. But yes, if you can, if your choice is to contribute in that way, absolutely, that's another possibility. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so if we don't have any other questions, I think maybe somebody has a mic on.
Natalie, I just wanted to thank everybody for coming.
I'm sorry?
Participating. I wanted to say thank you to all the people participating.
Awesome. Yes, thank you again, everybody. And I hope to, you know, to have some extended conversations with you about this. Yeah, and if you think of any other ideas, I'll be more than happy to speak to that. And again, thank you for taking the time for coming. Thank you, Franklin. Thank you for
Thank you.
Pas de problème, Maria. Thank you.
Everyone loves to practice their language skills.
Absolutely. Passez une bonne fin de soirée, passez un bon après-midi, passez une très bonne fin de journée. Donc, à bientôt. Thank you so much.
Bye. Thank you. I'm going to turn off the recording now.
Awesome. Thank you.